And Jesus, walking by the Sea of Galilee, saw two brethren, Simon called Peter, and Andrew his brother, casting a net into the sea, for they were fishers. And he said to them, "Follow me, and I will make you fishers of men." And they straightway left their nets and followed him. And Jesus went about all Galilee, teaching in their synagogues and preaching the gospel of the kingdom, and healing all manner of sickness and all manner of disease among the people. Now when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, "Who do people say that the Son of Man is?" And they said, "Some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets." He said to them, "But who do you say that I am?" Simon Peter replied, "You are the Christ, the Son of the living God." Blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you, you are Peter, and on this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys of the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Blessed are the poor in spirit, for theirs is the kingdom of heaven. Blessed are those who mourn, for they shall be comforted. Blessed are the meek, for they shall inherit the earth.
In the beginning, there was light. We didn't need a sun and we didn't need a moon because He is light. He is the only light. He is light itself. Who needs planets? When we get to the New Jerusalem, there'll be no planets. There'll be nothing but Him. He is light. And light came to the Galilee. And light walked these streets. And light itself, heaven walked here. Heaven prayed here. Heaven taught them. Heaven fed them. Heaven in the form of the incarnate Lord who is light itself.
In you, O Lord, I have taken refuge. Let me never be ashamed. In your righteousness, deliver me. Incline your ear to me. Rescue me quickly. Be to me a rock of strength, a stronghold, Metsuda, to save me. For you are my rock and my fortress. For your name's sake, you will lead me and guide me.
Son of man, these bones are the whole house of Israel. They indeed say, our bones are dried up, our hope is lost, and we ourselves have been cut off. Therefore prophesy and say to them, thus saith the Lord God, behold, O my people, I will open up your graves, and I will cause you to come up out of your graves, and I will bring you into the land of Israel. And then you shall know that I am the Lord when I have opened up your graves, O my people, and brought you up out of your graves, and I will put my spirit in you, and you shall live, and I will place you in your own land. And then you shall know that I, the Lord, have spoken it and performed it, saith the Lord.
When Pharaoh let the people go, God did not lead them by the way of the land of the Philistines, although that was near. For God said, lest the people change their minds when they see war and return to Egypt. But God led the people around by the way of the wilderness toward the Red Sea. And the people of Israel went up out of the land of Egypt, equipped for battle. Moses took the bones of Joseph with him, for Joseph had made the sons of Israel solemnly swear, saying, God will surely visit you, and you shall carry up my bones with you from here. And they moved on from Sukkot and encamped at Etham on the edge of the wilderness. And the Lord went before them by day in a pillar of cloud to lead them along the way, and by night in a pillar of fire to give them light. The pillar of cloud by day and the pillar of fire by night did not depart from before the people.
The wilderness is actually a place I think that we think about and we don't want to go there. The desert, the wilderness, get me out of there. And we often think about the destination. I want to get into the promised land. And that's good. We should have that focus. But when Moses went to Pharaoh and said, let my people go, he didn't say, let my people go so they can go to the promised land. He said, let my people go that they may hold a feast with me in the wilderness. The wilderness is such a special place where God brings us into connection with Him, into relationship with Him, into His presence, into communion with Him, so that when we go into our destiny, when we go into the promised land, we're going with Him. We're not just rushing ahead into the blessing. David has to run away. Sometimes God gives us a promise. He speaks a word over us. His anointing comes on us. We're touched by Him. We're encountered by Him. And the next thing you know, we're in a wilderness season. And he's just there by himself, but 400 people gather to him, which, by the way, became many of his mighty men later on. They came totally messed up and broken, in debt, in distress, discontent. And a book later, he's celebrating many of them as his mighty men because they were transformed there with him in the presence of God. David remained a man after God's heart in the wilderness.
The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. Thy rod and thy staff, they comfort me. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies. Thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Then Jesus came with them to a place called Gethsemane, and said to the disciples, Sit here while I go and pray over there. And he took with him Peter and the two sons of Zebedee. And he began to be sorrowful and deeply distressed. Then he said to them, My soul is exceedingly sorrowful, even to death. Stay here and watch with me. He went a little farther and fell on his face and prayed, saying, O my Father, if it is possible, let this cup pass from me. Nevertheless, not as I will, but as you will.
That's an interesting prayer because wasn't Jesus fully submitted to the will of the Father? Of course he was, but there was something in his human will in this suffering that still had to surrender, that still had to say, okay, I'm giving it all over to you, because Jesus became sin for us. Sin brings separation. For the first and the last time ever, God within himself endured separation to bring us back united to him forever into perfect peace, perfect relationship. I believe that's the cup Jesus is talking about, not just the physical suffering, but the spiritual suffering, all of that. That's the cup Jesus was saying, if it's possible, if there's any other way, let's do that. Nevertheless, not my will, but your will be done.
I went through a brutal divorce. I cried every single tear I ever had. I could not cry again. And yesterday in the garden, God gave me back my tears. And nothing will surpass that. Nothing is more powerful than God giving you a gift of tears.
He will wipe away every tear from their eyes, and death shall be no more.
I learned so much about compassion. You know, the heart, not only for me, but it's for others. You know, that one day we're going to see him together. That's all I ask. God, use me. And then here I am.
Neither shall there be mourning, nor crying, nor pain any more, for the former things have passed away.
I was away from the church for 58 years, and it was been a long road getting back. And I got back to it, and that baptism was sort of like my confirmation that I'm back on the road again. I'm not out there in the wilderness, because I was basically kicked out of the church at 6 years old, Sunday school, and was sort of like Saul in a lot of ways. I didn't trust church, didn't trust Christians, how they could do that to me, and it's been a long time coming back. And that was quite a commitment and quite a shock to be in the River Jordan and accepting the Lord. It was special.
And he carried me away in the Spirit to a great high mountain, and showed me the holy city, Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, having the glory of God, its radiance like a most rare jewel, like a jasper, clear as crystal. And I saw the holy city, New Jerusalem, coming down out of heaven from God, prepared as a bride adorned for her husband. And I heard a loud voice from the throne saying, "Behold, the dwelling place of God is with man. He will dwell with them, and they will be his people, and God himself will be with them as their God." Jerusalem, built as a city that is bound firmly together, to which the tribes go up, the tribes of the Lord, as was decreed for Israel, to give thanks to the name of the Lord. There, thrones for judgment were set, the thrones of the house of David. Then the Lord will go out and fight against those nations, as when he fights on a day of battle. On that day his feet shall stand on the Mount of Olives that lies before Jerusalem on the east. And the Mount of Olives shall be split in two from east to west by a very wide valley. And you shall flee to the valley of my mountains. Then the Lord, my God, will come, and all the holy ones with him.